be painless. So it keeps telling me.
Fuck you, John!
Bizarre, weird, yet captivating and stylish. We are talking about the movie Residue, which was written and directed by Rusty Hickson. Now, this one stars James Clayton, who once was known as the amusingly porn-sounding Clayton Champagne, but you've also got genre classics like William B. Davis, of course, The Smoking Man, Costas Mandylor, Matt Frewer, of course, Max Headroom. Now, this has definitely got a Cronenberg style feel to it. It's a bizarre film that's going to take a little bit of explaining, if I can do that. So essentially it involves a private investigator played by James Clayton, and he, through a kind of series of events, essentially comes in contact with this mysterious journal. And whenever you simply have any interaction with this thing, weird stuff starts to happen. Visions, kind of strange events, somehow kind of the supernatural force starts entering your life in a variety of different ways, and it normally doesn't end well. And then essentially anyone who kind of comes in contact with this book, even through looking through it through a camera, will have some kind of like strange phenomena, even if you just happen to be in the area. And this private investigator's daughter's kind of a strange kind of daughter turns up, and he's basically having to deal with some kind of like more worldly threats and otherworldly threats at the kind of the same time. Can't really go into too much because obviously the whole point of this one is going to have a somewhat of a bizarre plot to it. So that's going to give too much of away would be to kind of ruin what this movie is. Let's talk about any negatives and positives first of all. Let's go with the negatives. I gotta say, despite this is quite an imaginative movie, I feel it's going to be somewhat confusing. It was confusing to me, if I'm completely honest. So I think even sort of casual moviegoers will be completely baffled with this movie and would not know what the hell is going on. If you are more of a kind of like film, kind of like fan, more of a kind of like a film geek, then I think you may kind of appreciate the more the kind of the tropes and the and what it's trying to do. But even so, I still find it's kind of a somewhat of a hard film to follow, and the plot kind of, it kind of takes some twists and turns. The way I would describe it is if Cronenberg directed Memento. That's again, this guy here has had all these kind of weird things that are happening to his memory. So things kind of happen in weird sort of locations and kind of different times. It's very, very hard to follow this film, and it does suffer a little bit from budgetary restraints, I would say, as well. It kind of feels at times that they kind of wanted to do a bit more, but the budget is kind of holding it back. But that being said, like I said at the opening, this movie captivated my imagination because it is so bizarre. You don't really recall anything seeing quite like it before, so you're kind of invested to kind of find out what happens next. And I've got to say, there are quite a large cast here of supporting characters, and all of them have these kind of little kind of kooky traits that you kind of find pretty interesting. And it's kind of fun. I mean, they are admittedly somewhat cartoonish in some regards, but I was kind of quite invested, even in the daughter's love interest, or the kind of the neighbour who has kind of got this bit of a crush on the private eye, and the two goons that are kind of watching. They're all kind of quite interesting sort of characters, even though they don't have a huge amount to do with the plot directly. So that was quite good. I thought the character work here was very good, and the acting overall was fairly decent as well. I just feel maybe it's a little bit convoluted for its own good and held back a little bit by some sort of budgetary restraints. There are some kind of special effects and kind of like monsters and things like that, but again, it's hard to say. I don't really understand the relevance of them too much. They looked okay, but I didn't really get why they were there almost. It's kind of hard to explain. Overall, it's definitely worth a watch if you are a fan of bizarre cinema. Let me put it like that. If you are a fan of the weird and the wonderful, then you may want to check it out. So overall, I'll give it an above average, but it's definitely not going to be for mainstream audiences, I would say. So 6 out of 10 for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I shall look forward to you next time. Bye for now.